Welcome everybody back to another pretty amazing video. I know it's been a very short turnaround since the last one, but I just have a couple of good ideas for videos, and I think I have 3 more coming, and I think the next few are going to be ranking my top roller coasters, so yeah. But anyways, Six Flags released their quarterly earnings report, and it's not really looking too good. They were down 2% of income from the third quarter in 2022, and because of this, they are looking to either sell parks or close them. So today, I'm taking a deeper dive into which parks could potentially be sold off and closed. So I'm going to break these down into 3 different tiers of parks. So we're going to have the 100% safe tier, the on the edge or I'm unsure of tier, and then the 100% gone tier. So let's start out on the bright side and look at the parks that I think will 100% be staying in the Six Flags chain. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's just look over what makes the parks, like what the requirement for Six Flags is the parks to say. Executive Vice President and CFO Brian Witherow released in a recent statement saying that the parks that they're going to, they want to get the portfolio more nimble. And he says, so we're going to look at the parks where our returns are the greatest, where the opportunities for growth are the highest, and we're going to focus on those parks. And the other parks will look to monetize and use those proceeds to reduce debt. So basically, the parks that they can grow and they have the highest monetary gains off of, that's basically what they're going to keep, and they're going to sell off ones that do not meet those criteria. So now back to the parks that I think will stay. So these parks all meet all the criteria, and they're pretty much flagship in the chain. I'll try to give a brief little reasoning for each, though. Six Flags Magic Mountain, just because it serves LA and it's the biggest park in the world. Over Georgia, because it's an original park and they have Atlanta and they've gotten good investment recently. Six Flags Great America, because it serves the Chicagoland area. Six Flags Great Adventure, because it's just a big park with big things ahead of it. Carowinds, because it serves the Charlotte area and they have one of the best roller coasters in the world and they've gotten good investment. Cedar Point, for obvious reasons. It's a flagship park, basically. Kings Island, it's a valuable asset. It's a very good park. Six Flags Over Texas, they're getting new investment. I mean, they wouldn't give them a Giga dive coaster and then just drop them. Six Flags Fiesta Texas, because that's also one of the premier parks and it's getting good investment and it's a pretty good park. Kings Dominion, just because they got rid of Six Flags America and then this is their new park to the DC market, and if they lost it, then the DC people would go to probably either Busch Gardens Williamsburg or Hershey Park, and they don't want to lose that business. And then Canada's Wonderland, they're the premier Canadian park, and they've been getting some steady investment and some pretty good investment too. But with these parks, I think a Six Flags New Orleans would have to happen to where the park is pretty much unsavable for them to get rid of them, because they're just like a pretty premier park in the chain. I think if it came down to the wire and they had to sell off a bunch of their parks to even stay afloat, I think these would be the parks that they keep. Now we are on to the parks that I'm in the middle about. These are the parks where they could probably go either way. They could either keep them or they could sell them. I mean, yeah, it's just self-explanatory. So let's just kick this off. The park number 1 I have on here is Knott's Berry Farm. I mean, they don't really have much room for growth. They haven't really gotten many major investments in the past couple of years. And they also have Six Flags Magic Mountain in LA area, so I can't see them actually selling off the park, but I could see them selling it to like Hershend or something. I think Hershend would be a really good fit for Knott's Berry Farm. Park number 2 is Six Flags New England. Yeah, they did just get the new Time Quantum Warp, but still, that doesn't really mean anything, as you'll see in upcoming editions. I feel like it's not really one of their more flagship parks. It's not like as prominent in the chain, and I feel like they could definitely go without it and not be in too big of trouble. Another park on this list would be Valley Fair. I know it was one of the original 2 Cedar Fair parks, which created Cedar Fair. They took the fair from Valley Fair and the Cedar from Cedar Point. But still, I mean, they haven't gotten any investment recently. But I think just for that reason, they could keep it. But also, they're tearing out a whole new section of the water park, which is another reason they could keep it. But this is definitely one of those parks that could go either way. Next up, we have Six Flags St. Louis. In all honesty, I can't really see it staying that much. I feel like it hasn't really had a significant amount of investment to suit for staying. But the only reason I put it in the middle is because this is actually one of 3 parks that Six Flags built from the ground up. Over Texas, Over Georgia, and St. Louis, which used to be Over Mid-America, are the only 3 parks that they built themselves, and the rest of them they acquired. But I could see it expanding though, and I could see them getting a little bit of investment, but I also can't really see it staying in the chain that much. Sticking in the great state of Missouri, I could see Worlds of Fun also being ousted of the chain. I mean, it's kind of just a lackluster park. They haven't really gotten many major investments. All they got was the Zambezi Zinger, Woody, and that's kind of it. I mean, they probably could turn this into one of their flagship parks. I mean, there's potential there, so that's why I put it in the middle, but they haven't done, like, anything to it. It's just been outcasted. Another park like this is actually Michigan's Adventure, and surprisingly, could go either way. Michigan's Adventure actually has one of the highest profit margins in the whole chain. It probably helps that they haven't got a new roller coaster in who knows how long by now, but, I mean, you definitely want to keep your highest earning parks. But the lack of growth is kind of a concern, and that's why I put it in the middle tier instead of the top one. They definitely could expand Michigan's Adventure, but I don't really think it's in that profitable of an area. I mean, it's kind of in between, like, Grand Rapids, a little north of it, and Muskegon? I don't know. I'll look it up here. Muskegon County. Yeah, it has one of the highest profit margins, but then it's also kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and they have got no investment, so I am kind of on the fence of whether this one will stay. The final park I'm kind of in the middle of is Six Flags Mexico. On one hand, it's the company's only, like, property in Mexico, but on the other hand, I feel like it's just kind of overlooked. Like, I feel like just because it's in Mexico, like, definitely I could see them straying away from those, like, more far away from where they usually are, like, properties. They only have 2 non-American properties, which is Laurent and Canada's Wonderland, and I don't think they really would want to stay in Mexico, maybe. But in all honesty, I know nothing about Six Flags Mexico, so that's why I just put it there. Now, finally, we are onto the tier of parks that I think are definitely going to be out of the chain. I think these parks will either be shut down or sold off because I feel like they don't really meet any of the requirements, and yeah. So the first park is California's Great America. This is pretty obvious because the park's Cedar Fair, even before the murder, announced that they were going to phase out California's Great America and sell the land it was on. So, yeah. I might actually be able to visit it next year, hopefully, because I might be able to make a trip out to California, and I'm going to be closer to there than Discovery Kingdom, so you might be able to see some content from that. Sticking in the Bay Area, we have Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. I feel like this is just, is not really the most desirable park to keep. The park is very limited of what they can do, since, they can only build so high because of an airport nearby. I don't really know the logistics of that. That's just what I've heard. And also, I think with the Cedar Fair executives taking over in the company, I think, the animals would be less desirable. Back in the day with Geauga Lake, when they had SeaWorld Ohio right by that, and they merged them, that might have been a contributing factor, but I just don't think they want to deal with all the animals that comes with Discovery Kingdom. I can see, SeaWorld scooping up this park, though. Then we have Six Flags Darien Lake. I mean, first of all, they don't own this park. They mainly just operate it, and, they don't fully own the park. So that would obviously be a desire to get rid of it. And we haven't really seen much investment in the park, and there's not really much to grow. It's also right up there by, Rochester and Toronto and all those towns and Buffalo and whatever. So they also have Canada's Wonderland, which isn't too far away. But yeah, I could definitely see them getting rid of this park. Then we have Six Flags Great Escape. I know they just added Bobcat, but still, I can definitely see this thing on this way out. I feel like there's not really much room for growth. They've also haven't really had much investment into it. Also, it's kind of just out in the middle of nowhere. Closest city to it's Albany, and that's still just Albany, which Albany isn't even really that big. But yeah, there's not really room for growth, and I feel like it's not really the biggest park that brings in money. So then we have Frontier City, another park that Six Flags is not fully owned. This is definitely a less desirable property to hold. I think this one's 100% going to be out of the portfolio, and there's not really much reasoning for it because there's not really much need to explain though. Then we have Laurent. This is another park that's pretty hard to expand on, too. Also, it's not really the best-run park. I've heard the operations are terrible. I mean, it's gotten some investment. It has a B&M Hyper. It has all that stuff, but, it's still, not really one of their premier parks. And I could definitely see it getting out of the chain in the next couple of years. And the final park, it might surprise some people, is actually Dorney Park. I mean, I feel like it's not really, focused on one major metropolitan area. It's in Allentown, which I guess is kind of a big town, but still, there's other parks that could suit the needs. Just in Pennsylvania, they have competition with Knoebels and Hershey Park, which I think both of them are much better parks than Dorney Park. But also, even for the Philadelphia market, Great Escape's not too far, so they'd probably rather just go there, too, because it's a much better Six Flags park. So, I feel like it's kind of a pointless park to have in the portfolio, and it's not really benefiting them or hurting them. But yeah, that's all the parks besides the water parks, which I don't really know much about the water parks. The only one I know is really Hurricane Harbor Rockford, which is probably going to be out of the chain because, yeah, it's just kind of there. But hopefully they can keep it. Maybe they'll put a little investment into it. But anyways, thank you all for watching the video. I know I promised it a little earlier, but I just got busy with basketball and stuff. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and tune into the next one. I think I'm going to start doing my top whatever coasters soon. So yeah, so like and subscribe to see that.